Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's ITCC member meeting. I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. I see individuals are still joining, so we'll start in a bit.
Oh, it's Joshua just joined.
Hey,
Welcome,
Josh.
Josh.
Wow, I feel like we stepped back in time. February. Oh, I wish I could go back.
Why is that?
Oh, I don't know. It seems like life was just simpler a month ago.
I don't necessarily disagree.
You've had your coffee, Josh, so you're actually reading the small font on the date.
I know. That's right. Without my reading glasses, no less. So that's a pretty big improvement.
Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Once again, thanks everybody for joining. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. So today's meeting, I'm going to go through some announcements. Then we are going to dive into the presentation focused around talent search. We're going to have Jarin Schmidt, Director of Acclaim Services, and David Leaser from IBM presenting today. So we're going to have a great presentation. I know that many of you already know, and we certainly wanted to share it with our members today, that SAP won the 2018 Innovation Award at last month's in-person member meeting. So we're congratulating Ralph and Sherry for their great submission and innovative work. So congratulations to SAP. I also wanted to share with everybody that a lot of great discussions took place at our in-person member meeting, and those individuals that were there would agree. So for those that were not there, we've created a spreadsheet which holds some of the topics and ideas from that brainstorm. So if anybody wants to go in and review or add additional ideas, please feel free to do so. It's found in the Google Drive folder as seen on the screen. If anybody needs access to the Google Drive, please go ahead and email our ITCC inbox, and I will definitely share that with you.
So, Irina, should we be seeing something other than the title slide then?
I apologize. You should be seeing the February meeting brainstorm. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Quick note, during the last member meeting, we shared our new task force schedules listed on this slide. So we recently finalized the recurring schedule for our securing certifications task force, which is highlighted. So if you are interested in joining any task force, please email us and we'll send you a calendar invitation. And one final thing, ITCC will be looking at revising existing policies and creating some new ones. And we would really like to have our members participate in this initiative. So if you're interested in supporting this, please email Andrea or myself directly, and we will get you added in to this task force. Okay, that is all the announcements that I have for today. I'm going to go ahead and give the presenter rights over to Jarin.
All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
And I got bit by the download app plus dual monitor plus who knows user error type thing. So excellent. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to learn more about what we're doing with a beta release that we have right now within Talent Match. To set the stage, I just wanted to call out the fact that Acclaim is part of Pearson, which is what we like to call the world's learning company. We're touching learners all across the globe from pre-K to grade, meaning in all points and stages of their life. And the Acclaim product, if you aren't familiar with it, was really incubated within Pearson as a way to get towards a strategy of turning learners into earners. In other words, the vast majority of individuals, when they pursue learning outcomes or achievements, they're really pursuing something around the lines of improving their life or career. Truthfully, what they want to do is find a job, keep a job, or get a better job. That is what that learning is driving towards. And so what we did within Pearson is we promoted this idea of how can we look at learners, and specifically the achievements or certifications that they're receiving, and make sure that those are accessible and easy to understand for employers. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with the Acclaim, what we did is we built out a badging platform. So we have badges or representations of a learning outcome or achievement that very simply states what someone is capable of, who says that they're capable of, what's the brand that stands behind it to give it credibility and weight within the market, and why exactly can that brand say that they're capable of those things? In other words, what criteria met in order to give them this recognition? If you haven't seen a badge before, here's just a very brief example. You can see the visual indication on the left-hand side, but then on the right-hand side, or in the middle, I should say, you have what would be considered metadata. You have a name, description, you have who is issued by, who is issued to, perhaps the dates associated skills at a high level, what did this person either acquire or demonstrate, as well as that criteria, what did it take in order to earn this particular badge. And we've seen great results in giving individuals the ability to own their credentials, promote their credentials online, but also have the organizations that issue those be in full control of the data to make sure that verification and context comes into play with it. But we wanted to go a step further. In other words, it's great that we are allowing earners to present these learning outcomes to employers, but we also want to look at, well, what are employers asking for? How can we make sure that we know that when someone has a badge that it's in demand? So something that we've done within the Acclaim platform since day one is link it to real-time labor market data, making sure that whenever you have that particular credential or designation, you can also see how it's in demand from employers. And we think that that's very, very important if we look back at that initial set of slides around helping someone find a job, keep a job, and get a better job. If we're just kind of handing them a piece of paper and wishing them luck, it feels like we haven't really met their true use case or their needs. And now what we're doing is we're taking this a step further. In other words, we're looking at other ways in which we can help learners present their learning accomplishments and achievements to employers, and also have other, I guess, signals from employers back to the learners about what they're looking for. So one of the ways in which we're doing this is that we're now going to be creating collections of badges, allowing individuals to group a series of badges together to present those to employers. And then what we're talking about today is going to be giving employers ways to search for verified talent based on the credentials that they have. And that's really what led us to Talent Match this beta, this idea of digging in and seeing, again, how are the ways in which we can make sure that employers can have the verified talent after someone has it, so they can really impact their life or career. And so with that, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to turn it over to David Leaser from IBM. We've been working in conjunction with IBM on developing this. They brought some unique use cases and ideas and really helped design this with us. And so I thought it'd be good for David to kind of do a deep dive in terms of how they're thinking about using this and why they see value in it.
David, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
We can't hear it. Yeah.
Well, we're going to assume that it's really impressive.
I know David, and I know it's really impressive.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and use my built-in microphone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just
Yes.
use the built-in microphone. I apologize for that. Okay, so I'm not going to try and go into presentation mode because I was having the same kind of problem, Jarin, maybe you were having. I do want to go over just a couple quick charts to show you why we decided to do this, why it's an imperative for the IBM company, and then show you specifically how it actually works. But the net of it is that we've had significant problems with talent, and everybody is facing the same problem with talent. Here's just a few data points that are top of mind for us. And I know that you've all seen this as well. And by the way, one of the stats here is from ITCC, where ITCC council members said they want to be able to search a database of candidates with verified credentials. Our clients, all of us on this call, have a problem connecting our customers with verified talent. And the reality is that we haven't really gone the final mile. I'm going to just show just a couple charts. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of charts, but our obligation at the IBM company, we believe, is to accelerate client adoption, reduce our support costs, cement our license sales, and I think they're probably the same as yours, right? We need to make it easy to sell and support our products. We need to really increase client advocacy in a very big way and show the vitality of the job market for our products. And again, this is not news to you, but this is just top of mind as part of our mandate. But we've never gone we have never really connected people to actual jobs. We've done a great job with skills development. The credentials program in the ITCC, everybody on the call has done a fantastic job leading in digital credentials, but we've never really gone the final mile to link people to real opportunities. So that's why we decided to come up with this whole talent match solution. Working with Acclaim, we put a front end, right, on Acclaim that allows people to search the Acclaim skills database for candidates who have opted in, and that's important. You have to opt in for this search. We get tens or hundreds of thousands of people coming to IBM for training from all over the globe. Many of them are looking for jobs, and like Jarin said, they either want to keep their job or they want to maybe get a better job within their organization, or they may be passively looking for something else. It's up to them to decide. And if they want to opt in, they can opt in, and it will make it easy then for them to connect with employers. The great thing about Acclaim is it automatically generates a digital resume, and this will allow an employer to quickly sort by skills, by location, and credentials, and everything else, and then send a private message. I'm done with charts. I don't want to show all the rest, but I do want to go into the solution and show you how this works. But first, I want to show you the other side of it. When somebody earns a badge through Acclaim, it automatically starts to build a digital resume. So there are two different ways that we're approaching this talent matching in a way. One is people that take our training and they earn a digital credential will automatically be connected in real time to jobs that match the skills tags in their credential. So here's an example, for example, of my digital resume. It's automatically generated, automatically built in Acclaim. I didn't have to do anything. I did add a link to Twitter and to Facebook, and I'll probably add my LinkedIn when I get a chance. I put a little paragraph, but it automatically builds this digital resume for me. And so when I'm earning these badges, let's say I earned this design thinking badge, and maybe it's one of the credentials that you've delivered. What Acclaim has done is they built real-time labor market data into this. So, for example, I'm in my badge. I received this badge, and I say, you know what? I want to find jobs that are related to user-centered design. If I click on one of these skills tags, in real time, as Jarin showed, in real time, it'll show all the jobs in the English-speaking world. They're using Gartner Talent Neuron data to spider all these job sites, and it'll show me job titles. It'll show me the locations, the top employers, related skills, the salary ranges, all those things. I can filter down and say, I want to see just the United States. I want to see India, the United Kingdom. I want to just see those jobs in California. So I can go down through and I can say, just show me the jobs that are available in California. And I can see, as of this moment, there are 800 jobs that are related to that skill that's in my credential. And then I can go down through and I can say, like I said, I can pick a city or employer, and I can go right down in and I can look at those job postings. I can see the job postings and where they're at, the salary ranges, and then I can go even further and I actually can view the posting itself, and I can apply for the job. So I can apply for the job right from within my digital credential. And I think that is one terrific way for a person who has earned these credentials to connect with real jobs. And that has been built into, I don't know, Jarin, if that's been since the beginning, but for as long as I know, it's been built into Acclaim. It was a strategy all along, right?
Indeed, yeah. So we started off by presenting this information to groups that were creating their badging programs with us. And part of the thought process was we would hate to link to labor market data and have it tell a bad story. So here I am, I just spent a bunch of money and time and energy in order to get this credential, and then I get a sad story of there's only 2 people looking for this. But what we've seen time and time again is that we're able to really tell a great story. And so it wasn't long after we launched the product that our partners kept saying, well, I want my earners to be able to see this fantastic news about the demand for these credentials. And so it was probably 3 or 4 months after we launched that we brought it to the earner experience as well.
So that's the one side, right? How do people that earn our credentials, how do we connect them with what the labor market is telling them right now? By the way, they may want to be just, they might be just curious to see what the jobs that are out there, and they may also want to take a look at the related skills that they may want to get. They may want to come back for more training to really beef up their opportunities. And it may be that just to, find a job within their own organization. That obviously can happen here very easily too. Now the other side of it is, how do we make it easy for employers to find people who have validated, verified credentials? And I think this is the real winner for everybody on this call, because most employers now are using antiquated systems to try to find people. They're using their old job boards. They may even be going up to LinkedIn, and not to disparage LinkedIn, but LinkedIn will give you self-assertions, right? You'll be able to go over there and you'll see people have said, they claim that they've done this. But what about the credentials that the ITCC puts out? How do we narrow down the field to say, I just want to see the people who have validated, verified credentials, not a self-assertion that grandma said, I know cloud. Well, that's what Talent Match is all about. And I think Talent Match adds tremendous value to professional certifications by making it really easy. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm already in the interface. You'd have to register to get in here. But I'm already in here. I can search for badge skills or issuers. I can type in, let's say I'll type in the word blockchain, since that's the word that everybody uses every other minute right now, right? So I type in blockchain, and instantly it's going to pull up, in the database, the skills, the badge of the organizations that are issuing these credentials. And by the way, you're going to see, not just IBM in here, but the other Acclaim clients as well. But I'm going to go and I'm going to click on the word blockchain and click on apply. And immediately it's going to go through the database and it's going to find records for me. It has found 6,200 records in the database already, and this is brand new. People who have earned digital credentials that are related to the word blockchain. And I can sort this by country. We have a registry now in all 195 countries in the world. So I can say, I just want to see those people that are in Canada, or those people that are in the UAE, or in Japan, or in India, or someplace else. So, I'll just go to India. I'm doing this live, so I haven't actually done this before. But I'll go to India, and I'll see that there are 2,500 people in India that have earned digital credentials. I can go in there, and I can look at a candidate, somebody who has, again, opted in. I'll look at, say, Naveen's list here. And it will show me in real time all of the credentials. It shows me a digital resume for Naveen. And so I can see all of the credentials, and I can drill down to every one of these things to see the evidence behind every one of these credentials. And if I'm interested, I can, in some cases, people like Naveen will put their LinkedIn profiles. I can go out and look at their LinkedIn or their Twitter feeds, whatever they decide to share. He's shared a little bit of a bio here, and then I can make a connection. I can make a blind private connection inside here. So I can send Naveen a private message. Naveen gets this privately, chooses to accept it if he wants to. He doesn't have to, but I can send an instant message to Naveen to say, are you interested in an opportunity? Now, this may be an opportunity to, for a job. It could be an opportunity to connect over lunch to talk about creating a startup. So it's not just a job tool, but it's also a community tool to connect people that have your credentials. So think about how this can broaden it. So that's pretty much how this works. I'm hoping that you're as excited about this as I am, because I think that this is a sea change in the way we can add real value to our credential programs and really go the final mile to connecting people with opportunities. I mean, that's like Jarin said, it's all about job opportunities, and that's what this is about.
I have a question.
So,
is the plan?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the plan to offer access, like free access to employers or prospective employers, or is there a plan to close that access so they need to subscribe to some service or something like that?
Well, right now you have to register with Acclaim to do it, and in our pilot, it is free. But I'm not going to speak to Jarin to your strategy, but I'm sure there's a freemium model coming here somewhere on this.
Yeah, so I mean, what we're looking at doing right now is just proving this out. That's why we're in a beta pilot. As David called out, the fact that it could be used for employers, it could be used for community building, for local meetups. What we want to do is demonstrate that this is valuable both to the credentialing programs and to the earners. And so we're being very methodical about how we roll it out and what that turns into. If we find that we're having to develop a bunch of tools, functionality, and things on top of that, in order for employers to get value out of it, there might be a cost associated with it over time. But to start with, it's really about honing in on that find a job, keep a job, and get a better job, and connecting verified talent with opportunities.
Jarin, you bring up a really good point. This is the beginning. We're on the first step of the ladder here, and I think that everybody on this call is probably thinking of ways that they could amp this up, pulling this into talent acquisition systems, automating searches. All these other things are possibilities, and I think, Jarin, I'm not going to again speak for you, but I think that we both would like to know what you think about it, what the opportunities are here, and use your insights into how to really expanding this, because ultimately this expands the value of certification in a dramatic way.
Hi, I have a question. Is there a way to, when you're in the talent search system, is there a way to look it up by a specific person to see if they've opted in, and you'd look at the candidate level search instead of looking at a blockchain or a company search?
So today we don't have it where it's based on individuals. We do have a discovery or a directory functionality that we can turn on for each program, where they can look up by first and last name or email address. But for this particular functionality, we don't have that specific find me Bill Smith sort of approach, though that is something that Acclaim offers.
We did talk about that up front, because it's a really good question, because one of the use cases we had up front, Jarin, right, was for somebody to be able to say, I want to verify somebody's achievement, and that's all I want to do is I want to verify that they actually have this achievement. So there's a great opportunity, and it was a great question. Yeah, and I will just point out that just on a side note, within badging, the idea is to get away from that sort of lookup model. The hope is that now that the individual has access to the credential, but yet the issuer still controls whether or not it's valid, that instead of employers having to do a pull to verify credentials, it really should be the individual pushing it to them. Other questions? Well, I thank you for your time on this. Again, I'm hoping that this kind of sparks the ideas on, again, how do we all go the final mile to really add tremendous value to our credential programs. And I think what we often lose sight of, and I think this is true in the whole training industry, not just here, but colleges everywhere, is what is all of this in service of? We spend a lot of time on the issuing organizations. We also spend a lot of time on the people who've earned them. But have we spent enough time on the consumer of these credentials, which is typically an employer? And so this is our attempt to go the final mile and say, what is this all in service of? And it's all in service of opportunity. So Arena, thank you so much for letting us present this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great presentation. I want to open it up to any other questions that our members might have.
I don't have any questions, but maybe a comment. I think it's also useful if we were assembling a team. So often, as many of the ITCC members know, so often complex installations require different skills. You may have some people that are able to handle some of the hardware, but not the software, and so you may combine elements of SAP and a hardware platform or something of that nature. So I think it's useful to, if you're building a team, to go ahead and use this as well.
Bring up a really good point. Right now in the beta, there's an and search, so I can do exactly what you said. I might need to find somebody who has COBOL skills and a PMI credential, right? Or they have Microsoft Office skills and presentation skills, or design thinking plus Z skills. So right now it has and searches, so I can continue to add filters, and I can say I want to see people that I just did COBOL on mainframe, so I added the 2 of them up here, you can see. But this crosses the borders and the boundaries to do exactly what you said. Our customers, every one of us, they're hybrid, right? And they'll have maybe a part of an IBM solution, part of a Cisco solution, a Microsoft solution, whatever. This will allow them to connect the dots and say, I want to find somebody with this unique set of skills.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's do that one and see what happens here with this. I might even add, let's see, let's do design. I'm curious to see if there's anybody that has a bunch of badges here that have like 2 or 3 of these things. I'm going to do that. So I did 3. Let's see. Again, this is live, so it might turn up 0, but we'll see. You know, anybody that has 1 person here. So there is a person who has design thinking, COBOL skills, and IBM Z in the database right now, and I can go down and look at his badges, and I'll be able to see what credentials he's earned from different places. It looks like there's quite a few IBM in here, but again, it could also include others, like you said.
Of course, then there's always a negotiation on price.
Right, well, yeah, exactly. You know, and it's really amazing to me. I think this is also what we learned when we introduced the badge program. The number of people coming up for training dramatically increased. Our online MOOCs increased the number of people coming up to our big data university by 125%. The completions on the exams went up by 694% just from the badges. So to your point, can you imagine what this is going to do for people saying, I need to build a digital resume. I need to get these validated, verified credentials from these top companies in ITCC so I can make myself more marketable.
Jarin, do you have kind of a document that describes this better? And maybe I can, you know, I want to promote my own certifications and out to my community that would utilize this type of thing, because really it is about building a digital resume is what it's all about here. And I think it is useful for all of our programs to embrace this. Oops, that's not right.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go. Yeah, I know. It's talent. Here's the deal. We changed the name of it because we had we originally came out of the gate saying we wanted to call it Talent Match. Acclaim named it Talent Match, but we had a legal decision that said we couldn't use it up front. But then they went back through and they reviewed it and said, no, you can use Talent Match as a service. So we just changed the URL up about a week ago, and I'm stuck on it. But we do have a page, ibm.com/talentmatch, that tells you a little bit. And here's a place for you to register if you want to play around with it. Go to ibm.com/talentmatch. Go ahead and register and log in, and there's just a brief little bit of information on here, and then it'll take you over to a landing page that Jarin has set up that gives you a little more information on it.
Kristen, to answer your question, so we don't have documentation or formal documentation on it yet. You know, it is very much a pilot or a beta right now, and so we're using this to gather information so that we can present back to the market the right story around it based on real use cases and real usage of the platform. So coming soon, but if you have questions or you want us to put something together specific to help you tell the story, we'd be more than happy to.
And
just sorry, David, just a quick question. This badges that were showing up for these people are not just necessarily certifications, right? They could be learning events or courses that they've completed or other things. Is that right?
yes, and if you look at this, and we have a color metaphor at IBM, the blue is a certification badge, green is a knowledge activity, and the orange color is a skills activity. So this will show at a glance where the certifications are, where maybe some of the knowledge badges are, and some of the actual demonstrated skills are. And then of course you go inside the badge and you'll see very specifically what this is about. Like this is certified, right? So blue is always a kind of a reserved color for IBM for certified. And it says IBM professional certification here too.
Yeah, so it's basically all in how you build the badges themselves.
It is, and what's really interesting about it, you know, kind of a nuance to what you're saying, it allows you to build a layer stack. So you may say, I have this professional certification, right? So this person has one, this Watson certification, but also has these applied skills that show currency. So it can see beyond the big credential, the high stakes credential, also has the most recent versions of, you know, whatever, cloud or you know, cognitive, whatever it happens to be. So it allows a person to create a specialized, very focused credential and differentiate himself or herself from others.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, and I was going to say, I know Kristen is on the phone as well. Kristen, you know, if you can, you could go through our talent match presentations and decks and see what would be externally consumable for this group, and happy to share whatever, Kristen, you decide can be shared, because we do have quite a bit on what we believe the value proposition is and why we did this, and again, I think why everybody on this call should do it.
Yeah, we can go through that and then get it to Irina or Andrea to upload to Google Drive for the group.
So what other skills can we look for? You get the idea.
I'm personally just excited that when I do blockchain and I look in Costa Rica, I can find so many.
Yeah. Let me do that, because that really is interesting. You know what also this would also show, and this is something we're starting to do with on the back end with the Acclaim data, is we're creating heat maps now. And the heat maps are going to show us where the talent is, where the dearths are, and it'll help us adjust our programs. Maybe we need to start holding more boot camps in Costa Rica. Maybe we need to have a conference or some other type of activity. Or why do we have fewer people in those areas? Is it tied to our license sales? Do we have the readiness in these countries based on our license sales to support these products? So there's a lot of, I think you're bringing up another interesting point, Kristen, on how you can start to use this type of data to make some really strategic decisions for balancing workforces or balancing your activities. So there's some people like you just mentioned in Costa Rica.
I don't think I saw Kristen there.
Yeah, Kristen, hey, how come you don't have a blockchain badge in there? What, you know?
I got to get on it. You know, I got this day job that you might know a little bit about, David. And then I got this side job that, Jim, you might know a little bit about. But the reason why I bring this up is, or the blockchain that went up, is because Costa Rica is number 10 for having the most blockchain certifications. And I think that's really exciting considering we're such a small country. And I think in large part, it's, you know, if I had another country come to me and say, hey, why does Costa Rica have so many? I can say, well, they're doing these different activities. And then there could be another country that could say, well, you know what, we want to go ahead and do that in this area in Africa or whatever, to really go ahead and help boost. So I think it allows people to get a better idea of where are new and exciting ideas coming up, and how can we replicate those in different areas of the world. So I just think it's exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you know, there are new opportunities that are coming out of this with groups of badges too. And Jarin, I know that there's new changes to the open badge standard. I don't know if you wanted to spend 1 minute. I think there might have been a big question, but then after that, maybe Jarin, just 1 minute on how the open badge standard and specification and open pathways may really help this group. But I think there was a question first. Maybe not.
Yeah, so you know, one of the things that we've been seeing, I think I saw some folks like Danielle on the call, is the idea of issuing badges together. I think someone even referenced the use case of, you know, hardware and software skills and credentialing programs collaborating a little bit more. And so there is a new standard that's currently being developed around open pathways, the idea that you could map together various badges to show a pathway that you've gone through as an individual to have a certain set of skills or capabilities, or potentially earn a separate badge. So the use case that we like to use is that you have, you know, certification company A and certification company B. If you get credentials from both of them, should that create a brand new certification C that sends a better signal to employers about what your capabilities are. As we continue to see, as David called out, hybrid skills, part of the talent gap issues are around the fact that you have to have so many different product understandings and skills mixed matched together. We often use like a marketing example where you would be like a copywriter or you would be a designer. And now it's, well, you need to have analytic skills, you need to have social media skills, you have to have good writing, you might have to have a design eye. What is asked of a knowledge worker now spans multiple programs, brands, and products. And so we're kind of excited to see how this pathways and collections capability emerges and how that standard can be leveraged by this community.
Okay, any other questions?
The IBM link that you gave, is that only for this membership or those on this call?
No, it's a public URL. Yeah,
okay.
No, it's a public URL. So ibm.com/talentmesh. Share it broadly with people. Again, we're in the early stages on this, and I think that everybody on this call can help shape the strategies behind this. And again, I think that everyone on this call is probably thinking about how do we start to enrich the value of our certification programs, and how do we start to focus again on that final audience, the final mile. And so the feedback you have, I think that anything that we can get to enrich what we're doing here with Acclaim, I think will also benefit personally what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, share it to everybody. I guess that's it. So again, thank you all. And I guess as far as questions for IBM, Kristen, is it okay if everything's directed through you, or do you want them to come to me? Whatever you decide. They know you. So.
She must be on mute.
Yeah, I think she. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's start by directing through Kristen. And again, any ideas you have. Back to Jarin's point about collaboration, if you have ideas on how we can collaborate, obviously we'd love to hear them. So again, thank you for this opportunity. So Rena, back to you.
Great, thank you so much.
David, thanks, Jarin. Thanks for doing this as Clyde. I really appreciate you guys contributing to these member forums. It really helps to have a variety of different topics and perspectives, and this is certainly one that I think has broad interest across the ITCC member base. So thanks again.
All right, with that, we will go ahead and end today's member meeting. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you to our presenters.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.